All right, so something you may not know about me is that at a point I had my pilot's license. I don't have it anymore. I never kept it up, but I studied, I did all the work, and I got my pilot's license. Here's the crazy thing about getting your pilot's license. You learn all sorts of interesting things. You learned all sorts of interesting things about what really brings you up, what really brings you down. Like turbulence, for example. Turbulence in a plane usually freaks people out because they're like, oh gosh, we're going to crash, right? Well, let me tell you something about turbulence. Turbulence is flying. It's turbulent because the plane's going up and down, but up is included in that a lot, otherwise it wouldn't be bumpy. And when you feel what it really feels like to fall out of the sky, there's no doubt you're falling out of the sky. Your butt kind of goes right up through the top of your head and you freak out. And every person who's ever gotten their pilot's license has felt this because it's part of the requirements. You got to figure out what a stall is and how to recover from a stall, right? So I learned something incredible from flying a plane that had incredible implications for me as a human being. Attitude of an airplane, and when we start thinking about attitude of an airplane, then we can see something about attitude that we otherwise can't see, because we live in a world that's like, be positive, positive attitude only, have an up attitude, up, 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 up. There's no value to the down, 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 down. But when you start looking at attitude in airplanes, things are different. So let me get my airplane here. Oh wait, hold on, just 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Wait, I forgot my. Let me just. Okay, now let me get my airplane here. I got an airplane here to help you understand this, right? So the wings of an airplane, air passes over the wings and that creates lift, right? The attitude of the airplane, you just learned, right, is where your nose is facing. Everything in attitude that we're going to talk about today is in relation to what? In relation to the horizon, in relation to where you're going. Right? We've taught you this over and over and over and over. In order to improve your life, you need to know where you are, and you need to know where you're going. And then you'll have an attitude in relation to that at any given moment. Now, here's the crazy thing. There's pitch, right? And then there's roll, which is this attitude. There's also yaw, but we're not going to talk about that for the purposes of this. We're just going to talk about pitch and roll. When your attitude is off, it can have a tremendous impact on where you're headed. Here's the crazy thing though. An up attitude or a down attitude is not good or bad. It's not good or bad. Not one is not better than the other. It depends on the situation you're in. The pitch of the nose doesn't necessarily indicate whether the airplane is going up or down. In fact, commercial airliners, when they land, are almost always in an up nose position. The wheels hit and then they level out. You're going down like this. Right? It's good to do that because that's where the wheels are. We want that. We don't want the nose of the plane to hit the ground and then it scrapes and slams down. That would not be cool. No plane is designed like that with the wheel on the front end. Your attitude, though, will affect how well the wings bite into the air. Your attitude will directly affect whether you're able to get lift or not, but not only the attitude. Remember, she said, other things affect it, like airspeed. What is airspeed in your life? It's power. It's how fast you're able to go. Does your engine have power? Are you hitting your fire starter? Are you using the spark? Are you creating real power in your life? If you are, then an up attitude, an ambitious, a happy, positive attitude will really serve you to get up into the air. If you have no power, or you're reducing power, or you're losing power, an up attitude is the fastest way to crash. In fact, most airplane crashes that happen on takeoff are this. A guy has been doing a lot of flight simulators on an Xbox or a computer, right? He takes off, he feels the plane start to drop, which happens if you get too vertical. And what does he instinctively do to make it go up? Pulls back more, and he goes, whoop. No lift. Super high attitude. Great attitude, right? In your life, this happens too. You have this false optimism, this false positivity in situations where there's no power. That cannot serve you. In fact, in an airplane, when you lose power in many aircraft, it always depends on the aircraft and what the angle of its wings are. What does that tell you? That tells you your life might be different than mine. There may be situations for me where a down attitude serves me, but an up attitude serves you. Flying a little Cessna jet versus a turboprop versus a giant commercial airliner, they all have different angles at which they fly. They all have different angles at which they glide. It's called the glide angle. So if I lose power in a Cessna, I want to put the nose down just a little or keep it level. And the natural shape of that will give me lift. I might be nose down, but I'll actually stay higher in the air for a while. Okay, so let's not confuse that your airplane and my airplane, the attitude of those planes may need to be different. I don't need to get you to my state and vice versa, right? Also, we have this attitude, this side-to-side attitude. You get an airplane sideways, it starts to slip in the air. Doesn't have as much lift on one side. So it's not just about am I positive or negative, but can I keep my attitude stable? Can I keep my life stable enough to actually make progress, or am I just going to drift off to one side? This conversation is very important because if I have a lot of power, if I'm in a very powerful state, what can I do? I can climb really rapidly, and that's what happens with like jet engines. You see this on like Top Guns, like these fighter jets, right? I mean, they more or less are just a rocket. They can just about take off straight up if they want to because they have tremendous amounts of power. And you need to understand like where is your power load in relation to your attitude. Attitude truly is altitude, but not only an up attitude. Don't take this the wrong way. Don't take this to mean you always got to be positive. No, you don't. Sometimes it just sucks. And you can be negative about it, and that negative attitude will actually help you glide enough to find a safe emergency landing. This blew my mind when I was a pilot. I couldn't land. I had such a hard time landing. Like, I remember the first time that my instructor let me land by myself. Now, he was in the plane because I was terrible at it, but he let me do it. He didn't touch anything. I would get within 50 feet of the ground, right? And then I would abort the landing, give it power, get up, go around. We did this like 6 times in a row. And my instructor finally said, son, let me tell you this. In order to land, you have to touch the ground. Now you can do that on purpose, the way I've taught you, or pretty soon we're going to run out of fuel and the plane will just decide how it hits the ground for you. To me, I'd rather you try it on purpose. That helped. But I felt so weird about pushing the plane nose down. I just felt so weird about it. It was hard for me. I'm so close to the ground. How can I push forward on the sticks, right? I was afraid to use that down attitude. Look, in your life, it's the same thing. I'm not saying be a pessimist, but I am saying sometimes taking care of the worst, letting yourself see the dark is good. Okay, that can serve you. But your attitude matters. Attitude translates to altitude. There's no right or wrong, but there is an attitude at which you'll climb faster. There is an attitude at which you'll go straight and not turn. You bank those wings, you get this roll attitude like this banked attitude, your plane's going to tend to go this way. If your target's on the horizon out there, you're not making it. You've got to get that tuned up. None of this matters if we don't know where we are and where we're going. Remember, attitude is measured against the horizon, against where you're going. Is your attitude positive or negative? Is your attitude hopeful or in despair? I'm not saying any of those are right or wrong, but you had better watch and check your attitude. Nothing will affect your life more than attitude. Attitude absolutely has the power to bring you up and down. Attitude can take the best thing that's ever happened to you and turn it into a tragedy. Attitude can take the worst thing that's ever happened to you and turn it into your superpower. It's a choice that you make. And as someone who's trying to live your legend, it's a choice that I encourage you to make. If you want to live your legend, you're going to have to do the hard work worth doing, which means maintaining and creating your attitude every single day.